Everyone's heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Nietzsche, and all that jazz. You might even have heard of decade-old questions, such as, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it even make a sound? If a train is about to run over 5 people, would you pull a lever and instead kill one man? Or if a train is about to run over 5 people, would you push an obese person to stop the train? You might even have heard of the famous quote by René Descartes, "I think, therefore I am," subbed to Urban Encyclopedia. All of these things fall under the umbrella known as philosophy, but what the hell is it, and is the answer to everything shit happens? Philosophy comes from the Greek philosophia, which means the love of wisdom. Nowadays, we define philosophy as a systematized study of general and fundamental questions, such as those about existence, reason, knowledge, values, mind, and language. Basically, philosophy is people asking questions about existence, reason, the usual, and then different people try and answer them. People disagree, and that's how a section of philosophy is created. It's known as a sect. Today, however, I'll just go over the different branches of philosophy and not different sects, but if you want me to, put it in the comments. As philosopher Socrates once said, "The only thing I know is that I know nothing." This book says that the quote was probably said in reference to me trying to write one good joke for this video. Philosophy is split into a bunch of different branches. Like, imagine philosophy is a tree, and each branch is a different branch of philosophy. We have 4 huge branches, and from those appear little branches all focused on one little topic. Each branch has some nests with philosophers in it. Some philosophers have nests on multiple branches. Let's have a close look at some of them. I'm right. No, I am not. Wow, look at them argue. Around the tree, we see the founders of philosophy. They're the ones who planted the seeds. Look, I think Aristotle wants to say something. Happiness is the highest good. Second only after subscribing to Urban Encyclopedia. Wow, very cool, Aristotle. Anyway, back to the branches. The big 4 branches are metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and aesthetics, which are sometimes clumped together into value theory. Let's start with metaphysics. Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that discusses the fundamental nature of reality, whatever that means. Basically, it discusses and asks questions about existence, time, objects, identity, space, causes and changes, necessity, possibility, consciousness, mind, matter, potentiality, and even actuality. Metaphysics comes from 2 Greek words that together mean something along the lines of among the study of the natural. We can sum up metaphysics, like all branches in philosophy, in a couple of commonly asked questions. What is there? What is it like? As I was studying metaphysics, I ran into this. The law of the indiscernibility of identicals by Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Leibniz, whatever. This is an equation in philosophy. I thought philosophy is the class that non-mathematical people took. Anyway, the equation states that 2 identical things share the same properties. I don't know what any of these symbols mean, but I guess this is the physics of metaphysics. Well, so that's the first branch. Next we have epistemology, or the branch that wants to know how we know. You know what I mean? It's the branch of philosophy that studies the nature and scope of knowledge. Translated from its Greek roots, it means the theory of knowledge. The commonly asked questions of epistemology are, what do we know? How do we know what we know? How do we know that we know enough? How do we know that we know enough for something to be true? How do we know that our sources of knowledge are reliable? Must all beliefs be based on other beliefs? How does skepticism affect knowledge? And my favorite, how do we know that we know? Epistemology is much broader than metaphysics, and learning about epistemology really makes you ask, did I really ask? See what I did there? Yeah, that's pretty funny, I think. Let's move on to ethics. This should be clear, but ethics is the branch of philosophy that attempts to categorize right and wrong behavior. Ethics tries to define right and wrong, justice and crime, moral and immoral acts. Is it ethical to kill baby Hitler? Things like that. Ethics is split into 3 areas that focus on different topics. I call them ethicals. Our first ethte is metaethics, which attempts to understand what is right and wrong. Now, metaphysics isn't like, oh my god, would it be bad for me to order these fries? I'm so bad. Let's split them. Metaethics is more like, hey girls, is it ever possible to have a secure knowledge of what is right and what is wrong? FD number 2 is normative ethics, which is the study of ethical actions. It tries to answer, how should we act? Some might confuse this with metaethics, but you couldn't be more wrong. Or could you? Metaethics is more looking at the meaning of morality, while normative ethics looks at the standards of right and wrong. Capiche? And for our third irregular FD, applied ethics, which basically means trying to apply ethical theory to real life situations like Bethany and her french fries, or the question, what are human rights? Honestly, it's pretty interesting and shows up every day in our lives and in almost every decision. I suggest everybody reads about ethics to learn not only basic philosophy, but also to learn what your own morals are and what you think is right. What is wrong to you? Anyway, that's the branch of ethics and its 3 ethicals. And finally, our last big branch of philosophy, aesthetics, which deals with the human nature of beauty and taste. Aesthetics also has little aestheses, such as the philosophy of art. Aesthetics wants to know what is beauty, what is art, what is good art. Basically, how do we judge things? You've probably heard of the eye of the beholder. Well, this is it. Well, those are the 4 big branches. Thoughts from all of these come together when attempting to answer questions. But one question is most important. Why does something happen? And when I make a part 2, you'll know happens. To end this video, we must remember what Aurelius Augustinus Hipponesis, or Saint Augustine, once said. We are too weak to discover the truth by reason alone, unless we subscribe to Urban Encyclopedia, and then we know it all.